Alright. Hey, big flex. Finally got my books in order. Flex and repeat. Finally got my books in order. I got my cyclomancy on this motherfucker. So happy. Peace, peace, peace. Elevation and love, gratitude, and abundance at all time. Flex and repeat and you say New York City. Express and repeat and you say worldwide. We on the vibe. Just gonna get into a little bit of a vital chat before I get off of this. I'm trying to make it brief, maybe like 20 minutes. For those of you that have been with us for the past 2 weeks, working with us in meditation, or have gotten any of our services, we are in much gratitude and thank you for your support. And we look forward, because we are now creating a new mailing list, to inviting people to a high tea. I'm trying to keep it intimate, but at the same time, I have these two, they're not conflicting, but these two expanding ideas. The first idea is making it an intimate setting and allowing people to purchase a ticket that would basically offer them about an hour and a half of experience, 2 hours of experience, of information being given to them on entourage effect and terpenoids and flavonoids, and how these things affect our consumption of cannabis and in fact our consumption of everything in general. And putting that in a nice package that is complementary to Alice in Wonderland. So we'll just be going with that theme. And really, it's funny because it's like it seems like it's a theme. It's a real great part of experience, and I truly am under a greater understanding that the story of Alice in Wonderland is something that all people parallel in their lives. Not daily, but maybe daily in their lives. This gravity towards mystery and expanding and breaking our fear bubble with understanding. That is what we're going to do with the entourage effect. So it's called Through the Rabbit Hole, and it is Alice in Wonder theme. Although we will be expressing a lot of the perspectives from 360 degrees. And for those of you that don't know what that is, we do something called 360 frequency between Supreme and the Sanctuary. If you are not familiar with that and the practices, it's mind, body, and soul. That is your cipher. That is what you are keeping in centripetal force, moving and flowing and flowing. I can't do it for you. A personal trainer can't do it for you. You gotta be the dope you want to smoke and steam on your existence. That's why we say that here. Be the dope you want to smoke. It is because only you can cultivate your happiness. But your happiness shouldn't be cultivated from superficial consciousness. Yeah, it in fact is a higher consciousness experience. For those of you that'll be watching this later, someone had expressed it seems like it'll be a higher consciousness experience, and that's what it's been gravitating towards. I've been given the gift of wisdom through trial and error and through observation when it comes to consuming cannabis, and when it comes to explaining cannabis, and when it comes to sharing it in an understanding. And the parallels I'm finding is my cannabis and my relationship with cannabis should be as in sync as my relationship with my mind, and how I build my mind, and the things that I like to consume and how I like to consume them. Not everybody likes to read a book, but all of us should consume information. Some of us like to observe the information, but it has to be a conscious grab and gravity towards it. That's what activates every part of you in your resonance, frequency, tone, period. Is you are the being defining itself by looking inside of itself and finding the sun inside of you, that you can shine that sun and grow everything, cultivate every bit of seed inside of you. There's no such thing as a bad seed. A bad seed is a dead seed, and it doesn't grow into a weed or anything of that nature. A bad seed is maybe a seed that needs more observation, concentration, and expansion. Maybe it needs a bigger bed of perspective, in fact, in order to grow. Woo! There it is. Let's take a toke on that. Pat myself on the back. I can relate to acquiring wisdom through trial and error. Yeah, because such is life, right? Life is this trial and error. Like, my daughter fell today. We were around a bunch of sheeps in this Jersey mall, and they were like really heavy sheep. So she's playing in there, and she fell. She fell off one of the sheeps. She could have cried, but because of the perspective that I was keeping, and I didn't see her in any immediate danger or any real pain, she was able to assess it, where it's like almost, in fact, oh, perfect, here it is. I'll read this to you. So this will wrap it up. It's all on how you see the rain that will guide you to seek shelter. So I'll say it again. It's all on how you see the rain, so that will guide you on how you seek shelter. So if you're looking at drizzle as a torrential downpour, you might be overzealous and then over-exaggerate the sky is falling. But if you're looking at a storm, it's a hurricane, but you're like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, that could be fatal. So finding your balance within that and your perspective, and knowing how you can maneuver, because an old person in the rain and you in the rain are two different beings, and the way they maneuver, depending upon their health, synchronicity, and experience being, is how they're going to navigate through that. They might see the rain coming and be prepared for the rain and get out of the rain before it even starts to fall. This can be used at best when we are in sync, 360. So my mind is in sync with my meditative mind and in sync with my conversational mind. So that brings a trinity within my mind. My body is in sync because I'm eating and I'm resting and I'm active in that trinity to keep that going. So I'm going to eat properly for my body, and I'm going to work out to where my body starts to expand in the gracious ways. And then I'm going to engage with others in that same space. I'm going to sit down and eat nature with people. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to be active with people. That's the name of the game in order to pop the trinity. And of course, your spirit is, you have to do the spiritual hygiene. I mean, really, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about spiritual hygiene. We're talking about physical hygiene. We're talking about mental hygiene. And we're talking about those things have to consistently flow with each other. Now, I'll take it back to Entourage. Depending upon when you know yourself, you know what you're going to like to consume. You can use your senses. In fact, you use all senses to say, I like this or I don't like this. And what you're really saying is, all parts of me are ready to receive this, or we will not receive this. Even if you force your physical self to consume something, your spiritual self and your mental self could be fighting that. So, and that's been proven from the miseducating separation and bondage that we go through in with social influence overall. Going into the Gap or watching Instagram, it can manipulate how you make decisions if you're not grounded, if you don't know what flavors you like. That's like getting in a cipher and this guy smokes limoncello all the time because he loves the way the limes taste in it. I mean, the lemon taste in it, the limonene, pardon. That is a terpene within limoncello. But you don't like lemons, and you don't like limes, you don't like citrus, and you definitely don't like smoking it. Guess what's not going to be available as ready as with Mr. I Like Lemons? Because he likes or she likes those lemons or that terpene profile, their body is going to absorb it. The experience, the moment that you cringe or clinch away from something, One, that should be an identification of what you like and what you don't like on an overall level. And if it's cap within you, then it's something that you've trained yourself to dislike, and it's really a mental thing. You know what I'm saying? And you're unwilling to engage, and you're more likely doing that in other places. It ain't just with that one thing. So sorry to bring us all around, but I just wanted to make sure there was a connection with terpenes, because terpenes are everywhere. You step into a room, depending upon how nice it smells, it's going to be either welcoming or unwelcoming. This is fruit. This is rotten fruit to fresh fruit. This is all things in your sensibility. Period. Sharpening our senses. Knowing that we are sensitive. And it's fine to be sensitive. But it's not fine to be impulsive. It is fine to be active and immediate. But those things are calculated. And a collective calculation is probably the safest thing. The way your mama moves when she's watching you about to do something that might hurt you and she grabs you. You gain wisdom from that. Your ciphers need to be like that. Your 360 degrees, the people, places, and things around you should be that vital to watering the seeds, to assisting you to water the seeds. Because remember, you're finding the light within and you're nurturing the seed, and you need that water. That water is the information, that language, that communication, that truth, real talk, is what's going to bring true growth. Whether you like staying who you are, you're eventually going to grow. And when you don't grow, you will fall into depression. You'll fall deeper and deeper, deeper into the place, because you're not doing something that is necessary, which is changing. Let me stop for a moment and read what the sister just wrote. It says, honestly, I've never really I never really break through my subconscious while smoking any sativa, man. Actually, it keeps me in a lower state of superficial experience or whatever weed I had. Well, it's interesting. So, like, look, I say this, and I've said it before. We are a multi-dimensional experiencing being at once. You're having a multi-dimensional experience right now, whether you like it or not. Your subconscious is running, your conscious is running. You have an imagination space, and then you have your dream realm. You know, and all of these things should kind of have doors that they all can, and you can enter each and every one of them, like the doors in the Matrix, that back room. You should be able to enter all of those spaces, and they be able to be parallel to each other. Actually, in fact, the most healthy responding experience is one that is mind, body, and soul in sync. So, like, for me, I don't really like what's this called? Damn, what's that terpene? It's like black licorice. Like, it's in fennel. I like it in fennel for some weird reason, but I think it's because I accompany it with salt and I put fats around it. But I do not consume like black licorice. I've always bleh, bleh. So when I go to smoke cannabis, which is kind of rare with that terp, and usually it's an indica with that terp, because like fennel is more on the sedative spectrum. It's more on the indica spectrum, in fact, because of what it does to you. That is one thing that's the most important part. We think it's just the THC affecting our being and making us smack, and it's like, nah, you smoke something with Lilinol, you smoke something with lavender terpenes in it, and that shit is a natural sedative. Or you smoke something with mango and lavender. By the way, that's one of the combinations that we use at the event, is a mango and lavender, just to give you an understanding of how that can relax you. So the dopest thing is, when you're eating spicy foods, lavender water is probably the wave to have around, because of it's if we're looking at pepper as the uppers, because pepper will keep you going and flowing. If we had to look at pepper is like pepperine which is in cannabis. Those are more sativas. Those are more uppers, getting it flowing and going. it's really interesting because these things naturally occur without cannabis, and when we're paying attention to who we are and what we desire and what we truly need to be, these things are more like second nature. Like you're coming from that place even without the thing being there. I mean, isn't that everything to which we truly desire? We could talk about it without we can talk about it without it being in the room to inspire us on what we like about it. You know, I hope that makes sense. And you know, it's not for the faint of heart. Our society has habited us to be very pick up and drop, pick up and drop. I need it now. Let me press the button. Oh, it didn't come the way I wanted, but hey, whatever. At least I got it, and that's unhealthy. Everything should endure. Everything should respect. Everything should respect the dynamics of growth and work. That is the most important and the most humbling thing about our nature. It's not winning. It's not losing. It's being consistent. Being consistent is going to show you the result that you thought you were doing it for one reason. You was going to the gym to get big for your own personal ideals, but you didn't understand that you needed all of that muscle 10 years later, or all of that mind state of discipline 10 years later, so that you can be an example, a muse to someone else. All of that consistency, that's the tree in longevity, and all it does is produce a fruit over time so that someone else can consume off of it and grow. That is the sunrise and sunset of your existence. It is to be the air that someone else is consuming. Ashe. I'll say it again because it felt right. That is the sunset and sunrise of our existence. To be the air, the breath of life for others, for our loved ones, for the people around us. Ashe. Okay, so Sister says, I'll say, Sister Swanson says, even with an ayahuasca experience, it wasn't as dynamic as I thought it would be. I saw images. Yeah, because so the interesting thing is like, yeah, we're gonna get into that right now. Let me just finish reading what you said. I thought it would be. I thought it would have been more. You know, she's saying that she thought it would have been more dynamic. She saw images of pathways and fractals collapsing. Interesting. On each other. Mostly, that's interesting. I thought DMT molecules would have opened up the spiritual connection with the Omniforce. Alright, so Pete, you produce DMT. If you do this, fire breaths, for yeah, you could do it for like 90 minutes. Fire breaths for 90 minutes. Nasal. By like 60 minutes, you will start producing DMT. And these fractals that you were speaking about, but this is a practice that you have to do consistency, and you got to build yourself to that shit. When you are consuming ayahuasca, you can't just consume the molecule itself. You need a guide. You truly need someone who is about that life to be in the room with you, because you're well, all right, just like you drink alcohol and spirits enter your body, with DMT and with ayahuasca, you're drinking the blood of the earth, in so to speak, the spirit of the earth. You're consuming the spirit of the earth, and there's only a few, if a billion. I mean, excuse me, it's only a few, if a million or 100,000 that have the keys to open those doors respectively. There are many realms. There's even dimensions that look like this realm, and it's not this realm, that have been created in time. Because time is only a dynamic if you know how to master it. Time, if not mastered, is ruling over you. Real talk. And you are the master of your own time and space. So you don't go through time. You don't go back in time or wait for the time. You are time. You are the creator of time. You're the master of time. So I hope that assists you with the navigation part, spirit navigation part. Then that's dope. Although there are creators of DMT, and they're pulling the molecule from the wrong science, because there is DMT in everything. But some people just want to make money, and some people just want to make people high. This is not what we're in, yo. And this is coming from someone who's experienced belligerence. I've experienced belligerence. Let me read what the sister says. There was a guide, and it was very small group. But hold it. Yeah. Hold on, let me see if I can. One moment. Because there we go. I'm in grayscale right now, y'all. Give me 1 second. Alright. I'm back. So, peace. No, that's love. Yo, I tell you, like, our answers. So someone said, what up? I feel like you be having the answers for life, for real. And I'm much gracious, and I appreciate you for that. I'll be like on some, like, I guess you could call it humble. I think in a way that is very optimistic. I can be realistic and see the obvious of what people are limiting themselves in, but then I still believe, I'm like, yo man, if I can do it, and maybe it's my dynamic on how I look at myself, why I believe that we all have the power to really get a grip on who we are and just be there. Although there are sacrifices, and it's a great and beautiful sacrifice, because you wouldn't be able to tell it on me that I don't drip, that I don't glow and shine. But you gotta jump in that direction. You have to jump in that direction. You have to sacrifice the materialism. You have to sacrifice the ego. You have to sacrifice the excess belligerence of consumption. You have to sacrifice the desire for others' opinions, others fucking ugh. You gotta let it go. You gotta let that shit go. And as you're walking away from that, there's that echoes of people trying to pull you back, trying to distract you from your direction. And I'll take a break on that. So it says, I understand the potency in the portal. Yeah. And alignment of level of awareness. Yeah, so like doors won't open unless you're ready too. Like, Pete, out of my entire life, and one will just be humble but realistic. At this point now, I know I'm attractive, and I understand that I've been attractive my whole life. When I was younger, I didn't really have that feeling, But at this point, I get it, right? And I get that it has what has been assisting me to gain relationships. All of those relationships that I've been in with women have been interesting, learning, and tumultuous because of the shallowness that I had for myself, the lack of depth. Although I felt good and I'm producing from the inside of my body, there's a deep eternity within you that you go deep within, and you end up on the other side, which is outside, but then you've done the full infinity. You know what I'm saying? Which is important, if that makes any sense. You're in and out of yourself, and it has to be flow. I hope this makes sense, but I've gotten to a point where it's like, my wife now, I'm in such a place of being that I can receive her. That she's in a place of seeing that she can receive me, and I'm leveled up from my experience of many. I've been in uncomfortable, break heart, happy situations, departed of friendships, departed as enemies. I'm sorry to mention it, had females in my life pass away, and there's an anguish and a pain that comes with that. You know what I'm saying? It's difficult to lose somebody, and you're with them and you didn't expect to lose them. I've lost two girlfriends like that. When I was a kid, one of my best friends had gotten murdered, and I'm sorry to be so graphic. I won't go into details, but she got murdered, and we were just hanging out the day before. So it was, these experiences that we have in life, how I like to express them. One time, like I said, doesn't exist, and we are eternal. Real talk. The only reason why we have all of these cages around us, if you look at SeaWorld, you look at schools, you look at prisons, why we have all these cages around us is because that light is super bright, that they got to make sure that you damage yourself. They can't damage us. They cannot damage us. We are eternal. It's impossible to damage us. But they can make you damage yourself. That's the only thing that can dim your light is you. We've heard this throughout many of our elders saying, you're the only one that can get angry. No one can make you angry. That's a part of your light. That's a part of understanding. And peace, Hayes. I see you. We come to a point of, once you find yourself within, and I'm talking about real talk, find yourself within. None of this cliche shit, none of what they do on Instagram, because or everywhere. I only see it on Instagram because I try not to consume too much. And this is where some of my tribe be at. So I'm gonna keep on broadcasting. But I see this growth of two things, and it's because of platforms like this why it exists. You have very sick and in pain people in need of community, and then you have pseudo communities making themselves available for these sick people for their own personal egotistical profits or financial gains. Or in fact corporational partnerships, because some corporations hire some of these cats so that they can influence a community of people to make them buy. Now I'm going to show you, because I was in the Clark store today with my wife when we went to the mall. I was looking at all the signs, and this is no offense, but I'm looking at them, I'm like, because I'm from the 90s, I'm like, yo, what is going on with the advertisement? Why is everybody ugly? Like everybody look goofy in like the Target ads and every ad. And then I thought about it, I was like, oh, because they've already accomplished in my generation who they were trying to promote to, and to create an insecurity level. So it was only a certain type of people who look like this can be models, but they're representing on how you should look to wear these clothes, to drip. So there was a parallel of insecurities created from physical beauty, and then the status of what you're purchasing that was given to my generation. And that's harsh. This generation is, okay, you guys are cool with being yourself and you want to be yourself, well, we're going to sell you into our business. Your insecure your insecure ancestors that we sold them an idea, now we don't need to, so that we're just going to put you right in identity since you want to take over the world anyway. I call that separation proclamation, because it's making it seem like, oh, now they have something to fight for. And I don't want to stray too far away from it, but I'll come back to all of it in a moment. But it's a separation. And on that I'll read this. It says, yeah, that's a traumatic experience. Yes it is. But I say all of that like to say this, like, yo, there's everything that we are doing, even this conversation right now is activating, lighting up spaces within us that tomorrow we could choose to turn the lights off or close the door so we don't see the lights. The light might always stay on. You can't unsee some shit. You can't unhear some shit. You know what I mean? And especially when we identify who we are so that our brothers and sisters can see us, then they can stop feeling so alone. You know, and you would really be a fool if you thought that we're not all connected. That these creations of spaces that we're putting in these cities and giving them so much energy were the natural state of us. It's who we are, you know. So I say, Ashe, be the dope you want to smoke. Read this. So it says, needed to really hear that. No one can make you angry, because I'm 24. I get hard. Yeah. Yeah. Well, so look, peep this. No one is far from mistake. I was gonna be vulgar and use feces, but we all get our hands dirty. You understand what I'm saying? And it's only because we get our hands dirty, I am gonna use feces. It's only when we incorrectly wipe our asses that we get the shit streak, or we get something on our hand and say, damn, I don't want this in my life. I can't see another pair of drawers looking like this on my hand like this. I got to eat with these. There's more to it. Then we correct ourselves. So it's like you got to engage in reflection on the shit you've been contributing. So Pete, the only reason why I've been able to improve on my being is not because I've curbed the things I'm doing, because I can only curb the things I'm doing by acknowledging that I'm doing them, and I can only acknowledge that I'm doing them by reflecting on how the fuck am I affecting my environment when I'm doing them shits, and I can only do that with sitting back. So some way or another, you got to make time for yourself to reflect and see who you are, and it don't matter if you're ashamed of who you are, because tomorrow's a new day. To concentrate and fill certain cups up. We got cups that we filling up. They like to say it like the wolves. Like, you know, you feed the greedy wolf, or you feed, you know, fully feeding the wolf of gratitude, or you feeding the wolf of greed. And the one that you feed the most is the one that's going to be the bigger and more ferocious and more prevalent in your existence. So it's like, let's think about it like concentration. What are you thinking about on a daily basis? Be honest with yourself. Write that shit down, so you can see that, yo, I'm really thinking about drama and stress and blah 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 blah. And then, you know, in a week span, on your own, but amongst someone who you could speak to, you'll get an understanding of, oh, so I kind of got this vibe, and if I feel like this, then that's why things like this are responding like this. There's a root. It's our 360. What are we consuming? Are you consuming gratitude in the morning, or are you preparing yourself for the madness outside? One and the same, but gratitude is going to help you to be balanced within it, and preparing for the worst is going to keep you focused on the worst. Period. If I'm focused on gratitude, I'm going to make sure I eat properly. I'm going to make sure everybody I need to speak to in the morning is spoken to with love, and I'm going to carry that everywhere, because that's the song I'm playing. Period. So mind and forgive your environments if they're responding to you with lack of love, because that's not coming because of you. Unless you did something directly to an individual and you're conscious of it. When people mistreat you, they're really mistreating themselves. When I was a little younger, I would say, if you don't like me, you don't like yourself. And I still hold to that. But at this point, I have a greater understanding that if you find conflict with me, it's really because you're conflicting within, and you're showing me that. And I either have the option to preserve myself and get away from that unmanaged being, unrelatable being, or I can open my mind and my heart to be available, because I'm built for it. And that depends upon the being. You know what I mean? Oh man, I stopped going. Yeah, let me see. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I love you. So yeah, man, but I would still encourage, if you got some things that you need to discuss, you got to tap in and speak to somebody, you know. So it says, yeah. So let's talk about that if you don't mind me using the T word, because it's a very healthy word to use, and when we find the right forums, we're able to expand. Real talk. And we kind of got to be willing to engage in some shit with no prejudice on what we're going to say, and no shame of what we're going to say to the other person, because we're comfortable. So there's a lot of work. Breath work really helps with that. Getting to know yourself. And that's very simple. You can do it all day. Much gratitude to you as well. Yeah, flex. You already know. So I have had therapists, and I didn't like the approach. I didn't have a very good therapy when I was a kid, because it was kind of like an attack. It was an assault, and it wasn't administered out of love. It was administered out of separation and out of scrutiny. And my parents didn't even know about it. It was the school that was doing this, and we fixed them on that. Principal got fired. And the whole thing is that you got to find somebody comfortable that you speak to. And it's difficult, because there's a lot of people out here, but there's not enough of the right people. There's a lot of people that are saying they want to help. Oh, they've been through this, and now I guess I could do that. But that's just like a tall person saying, yo, I could dunk. It's like, yeah, cool, but maybe you're not supposed to play basketball, bro. Maybe you're supposed to work at the circus or something. I don't know. And it'd be more beneficial. But the reality is, if work is not done within, then we're really contributing madness outside. For me, I'm taking more initiative. I was trying to tell my wife today, and I didn't get a chance to say it to her, that I think I'm going to study a little bit of therapy. I'm already kind of in research of it. I'm reading this book, Cyclomancy, right now, which is really fire. And it's talking about the primitive intuition that lies within us, that we can tap back into if we just kind of get this grip of relationship with every portion of our mind, our body, and our soul. Kind of sounds like 360. So I'll say this, when you're gravitating your mind, concentrating your mind, naturally, because of the electricity that comes from here, because of the message that we're sending out from here, doesn't even matter about this time that everybody's talking about. Oh, the time of information. Nah, you dope. So you could do it in every time, anytime, and in fact you do. But you gotta concentrate. I'm the master of my own time and space. I'm the embodiment of infinite possibilities. You know what I'm saying? And that will attract that to you. I don't know. I've come from the hood, so I've been around groups of bros, and some of us have ideas of the type of girls that we like, and some of the guys who are more desperate agree. And guess what happens? Poof, manifestation. Because there's a desire, and then there's a desire not just in the third dimension, but in your crown Christ chakra realm, in your imagination space. And you're bringing that forth, and you're doing it in congregation with others. That's why that concept of Jesus was dangerous for Rome. They, really, if we were just looking at it as a story, it's them telling a story that, you go against the power and you're going to get clipped. And the intrigue behind that is like, wait, well, how are we going against the power talking about love in a collective? Oh, because that creates an energy and a frequency. Just like when I hit that, and it'll turn people in a room. If we all hit it at once, it'll have the same response, but then more people will turn. So if we're all saying something, or we all eat a certain way, or look a certain way with each other, then that's going to give a resonance. Oh no, we can't do that, Black Panthers. Oh no, we can't do that, collectives of love, unless they have a being that infiltrates that. And that's the difficult part. If they can't infiltrate it, they're going to try to get someone who's already in. It's Malcolm X. you know. And I use these ideas because it's like you're going to do a dangerous thing by getting into yourself. And I want you to understand that. You're going to unlock the universe again by going within yourself, ridding yourself of all of this synthetic shit that is not helping you. Damn, if I could be naked with this right now, but it's inappropriate, I would. Because this synthetic stuff ain't good for us. We are sun beings. We are taken care of. We are gracious. We are grounded. We are abundant at all times. So we just gotta get into that. Drink your water, eat your vital foods, come get with the gods. You have to speak. You have to express. You have to flex. Period. Or what is this? What are we doing? You know what I mean? I'm gonna cut it like that. I love you so much. I want everybody to be gracious. Take care of yourselves. Share the live so that people can be a part of it. If anybody that sees this later on or wants to contribute to what we're doing, we got the Cash App, I guess. That is # AINTMYKE. Or you can hit me in a DM and just let me know, like, yo, we take anything because we are an apothecary, so we do jars and you know what I'm saying, like, just love, show love. You know, it ain't just about us receiving, but it's about the labor of going back and forth and giving to each other. That causes a current, and that current is necessary. Ashe. You're the masters of your own time and space, the embodiment of infinite possibility. Be the dope you want to smoke. Don't fall short for the separation proclamation. I love y'all very much. Take care of yourselves. Woo! Be the dope you want to smoke. Jiname, Ashe, Flex!